Do y'all want to see some real crazy character development?
How well do we know each other? Favorite player at each position. All-time favorite point guard, Rajon Rondo. I'm joking. Chris Paul. Favorite all-time shooting guard, I'm gonna say Dwayne Wade. Favorite small forward, let's go Kevin Durant. Favorite power forward, Tim Duncan. Favorite center of all time, Joakim Noah.
You went 3 of 5, which is, I'll take that
Okay.
as an absolute win. Chris Paul was right. Dwayne Wade was right. I would go Braun for small forward, and I would go Braun for small forward. My all-time favorite starting small forward, LeBron James? That's kind of crazy. And I say that is crazy because there was a 4-year period where LeBron James was the most hated person in my household. Now, character development. That has not been the case for a very long time, but I thought it would be kind of funny and interesting to talk about my fandom towards LeBron James. I think I got to start off by telling you that in a few weeks, I'll be 29 years old. That is really old in internet years, but I promise you it's not that old in real life. For all of my other internet unks, you're not alone. I'm almost 30. But the reason I'm telling you that is because I feel like in my NBA fandom, I've gone through 100 different eras and 100 different phases. You know, like, I guess it wasn't really the case in my household or hell, anybody close to me. But you know, people go through the emo phase or so on and so forth. Like, I feel like I've gone through all of that as an NBA fan. My first year of recognizing the NBA for what it was the 2002-2003 year, which means that the following year that I started watching basketball, LeBron James was introduced to me. Now, 2002, 2003, I'm like, what, 7, 8 years old? So, like, I'm recognizing the NBA, but I'm not sitting down and watching full games. It's kind of crazy. I mean, I guess nowadays kids probably do that around the age, but no, I wasn't. But I was introduced to the NBA. Shout out to Jamal Crawford and my guys. So I say that to say that LeBron James has pretty much been in my life as an NBA fan the entirety that I've been an NBA fan, which is crazy. Now, growing up, I didn't have the accessibility to be able to watch NBA games in 2003 through maybe like 2008, 2009. I would catch games if they were on, talk about like Christmas and so on and so forth. But for the most part, me consuming basketball was mostly through like Sports Center. Remember back in the day when ESPN was king and you would look like, once we did eventually get cable, I don't know. I could have lost my remote control for a whole year. It wouldn't matter. I knew. Oh, I guess I needed 2 channels. I needed ESPN and I needed ESPN2. That is the way I consumed the game of basketball. That's how I became a fan of a lot of the guys that I was a fan of back then, which makes sense. When you think about my favorite guys from that era, it's like, yeah, LeBron James, and it's Allen Iverson, and it is Dirk. It is guys that would have been on ESPN top 10 plays every single night because Braun was catching bodies. Allen Iverson was crossing people over. Dirk was hitting fadeaway. So I became fans of all of those guys. But this is how you know I was a super young person at that time. I was highly, and I mean highly, influenced by the people around me, right? This young dude coming into basketball. I'm at the barbershop, by the way. They say he the chosen one. Well, the chosen one just officially retired. And remind you, I'm from Chicago, Illinois, where the GOAT played, I'm going to say his entire career. Nobody gives a damn about them DC years. So imagine going to a barbershop at 2006, 2007, where LeBron James makes his first All-NBA first team, or he's runner-up for MVP, and imagine the amount of hating that is going on because this kid could never live up to Michael Jordan. And I'm hearing that, and I'm going to school the next day saying the same things. Michael Jordan, I ain't never seen us, at this point in time, I ain't never seen a single full second of Michael Jordan play basketball. You feel me? Like, as far as, like, live basketball goes. And I'm going to school, and I'm telling people, like, MJ to go. This young kid, he ain't got no chance. Then eventually, as I got older and developed my own thought processes and stuff, and LeBron James started to win, 4 MVP awards in 5 seasons, that's where I was like, yo, I really do like LeBron James. One of my most prominent LeBron James watching live moments is this moment. This is not quite possibly, this is the greatest game of LeBron James's postseason career to this point. At one point in time, at the end of this, I know we all know the story, he scores 25 straight points for his team against a team that won a championship just a few years before. Like, this is the young king becoming the young king. Tayshaun Prince is a hell of a defender right here. Just gets beat downhill, and Brian the rim rocker. I remember watching this in the front room when grandma was trying to get me to not watch this. It also is very funny that my grandma was like trying to get me not to watch this and not to play video games, and watching this and playing video games eventually became my job/career. It's funny how all of that works. But I'm watching this game and I'm like, yeah, this guy really is amazing at the end of the day. At this point, I had gone past the point of could he be the GOAT, whatever. It's not really relevant. At this time, I'm starting the idea of my brand of enjoy basketball. Not in a literal sense, but like I'm real life watching Bron with admiration. And then something happened that turned me from a guy that was a Bron fan to an absolute hater. Also, time and place. I remember this. Like it was like the Super Bowl where in my household we had to sit down and watch ESPN, because at this moment in time nobody has ever of this caliber, of this magnitude, had an opportunity to switch teams, and in this fashion. Somebody switching teams is as simple as ESPN having a little ticker at the bottom. So and so signed with the Pistons for so and so amount of monies. LeBron James, like, I need my own half an hour spot on the biggest network, sports network, to tell the world what team I'm going to next. And again, as a guy that likes LeBron, I'm trying to figure out exactly who that is. Also, he was in the sweepstakes to potentially go to my favorite team. So I'm sitting here, I'm watching, fingers crossed that LeBron James will eventually become a Chicago Bull. And well, you know exactly how this goes.
Everybody wants to know. LeBron, what's your decision?
In this fall, man, this is very tough. In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
Miami Heat. That was the conclusion you woke up with this morning.
That was the conclusion I woke up with this morning.
And from that moment on, I went from a big Bron fan to an absolute. There was something about it in this time frame, because when he does go to the Miami Heat, it is the 2010-2011 season, which puts me about 13 years old. 13 years old. Everybody is an edgy kid at 13 years old, right? And I hated the idea, just like most people, right? I think most people was in this boat at this moment in time. I hated the idea of a guy that won 4 NBA MVPs in the last 6 seasons to go team up with Dwayne Wade, who also is one of my favorite players, by the way, and another guy in Chris Bosh. At that moment in time, at 13 years old, me, 13 years old, looking at a 26-year-old Bron talking about that was a weak decision, Bron. And I became their biggest hater. It also is no surprise that during this time frame, my favorite team is finally starting to be good. So I'm a hater. My Bulls are trying to win a championship, and you gonna go over there and build a super team? When I thought that we had a 2 or 3% chance to get you, say less. I'm on ass. So I hated this man. And this is the only time in my entire life as a fan where hate watching was a thing for me. There wasn't even no real name for it at that moment in time. I just know when the Miami Heat were on, I wanted them to lose. When I looked at the paper the next morning, because League Pass is not something we had back there. When I looked at the paper the next morning to figure out if the Miami Heat won or lost, or I loaded up Sports Center, I wanted to see that the Miami Heat had lost games for 4 years. Just a straight up hater. 2011 was the 2011 finals was the best example I had, because my team sucked, of rooting hard for a team that was not my own. In 2011, I remind you that Dirk is one of my 3 favorite players of all time as well, right? So I love me some Dirk. So 2011 comes around, I have my guy in Dirk versus the guy that I hate the most in the entire NBA. I might as well got a goddamn Mavericks jersey to wear for the entirety of that series, because I wanted nothing more than to see the not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5 Miami Heat team lose that first ring. And they did. And I should have just rejoiced in the streets when it was raining. I should have just been out there dancing. I didn't, but I felt so good for Dirk. And I also felt good at that moment in time that Bron ended up losing. Fast forward a little bit more. Again, my favorite team, Chicago Bulls, are figuring some things out. My guy, Derrick Rose, wins an MVP, the youngest MVP ever. Bulls win 62 games, and so on and so forth. Then Derrick Rose goes down with some injuries. At this moment in time, we didn't think that he was never going to be the same, but he goes down with some injuries, and there's one moment. Somebody asked me, what is my favorite Chicago Bulls moment of my life? This is kind of crazy that this is the moment, but the Miami Heat this big three that just won a championship in 2012 came into Chicago with a 27-game win streak. 27-game win streak. And guess what the Bulls did? You know how the story ends, right? Derrick Rose is injured in this one. This is a young Jimmy Butler. You got Captain Kirk. Nazir Muhammad plays a big part in this game. Nate Robinson comes off the bench and is pretty good. Luol Deng had like 20 or so points. And this, again, a 27-game win streak. This team is trying to be the team with the most wins ever in a row. And this ragtag group of guys, because Joakim Noah also is not playing in this game, goes out there and they defeat the almighty Miami Heat on national TV. Things get chippy. LeBron tries to bulldoze it into Carlos Boozer. He does his little, you know what I'm saying? You soft type, I ain't really feel that. But Bron really is trying to hurt Bulls on this play. Also, you get this call. We had no idea. That the call that we're about to hear right here is the same call we would hear in 4 years as the biggest moment in the history of this sport, potentially.
And James can only smile. Heinrich gets inside, running layup, blocked by James.
Got a block by James call. Like, it's a good one. Give me something, Nate. Give me something, Nate. Oh, I thought he hit this one. Oh, Boozer with the board. LeBron, who? Get off of me. Luol Deng with the big steal. And we just hold it, and that's a win. Oh, wait, did Nate get this one? Oh, yeah, in the J's. High. Basket interference. Count it. This was my favorite moment as a Bulls fan. You could not tell me nothing. And then this is back where Facebook was a thing. There was a Chief Keef song back in the day called Now It's Over. This is old Facebook memes. Let me see. Can I find this old Facebook meme? Let me see. Do y'all see what I'm doing on Facebook to try to get back to 2013? I feel like there's a more efficient way to do this. But I don't use Facebook no more, so 2013 may not be that far away. After scrolling for 10 minutes, I found the Facebook meme that's not even funny. I'm showing you this, and it's not even funny. But I gotta show you anyway. It say, last night they had a streak, well, now it's over. 2013, that was the funniest thing that ever was created. I reposted it on Facebook. It got 9 likes. Mr. Popular over here. Anyway, for 4 years straight, I absolutely hated LeBron James. And then he went back to Cleveland. And it was like, I don't know, I never flipped the switch so fast. From being a part of my most hated team to being well beloved again, because I felt as though the playing field was back to even. Also, I'm just older and more mature at this point in time. Remember, LeBron joined in 2010, 2011. I wasn't even a freshman in high school yet. By the time he left, and his last year in Miami is 2013, 2014. I'm going into my senior year of high school. So I've just developed over the last 4 years to kind of, I guess, appreciate him a little bit more. But once he went back to Cleveland, it was on again. I was really excited about him being there. And then the 3-1 comeback happened. And the picture of him with the shades is one of the coldest picture/moments ever. And the Cavaliers are one of those organizations that just felt like they were never going to get a championship. Honestly speaking, I just never thought it was really possible because they had one of the greatest of all time, and they failed to put a good enough team around him to keep him around, and they failed to build a team for him to win the championship. And I just didn't think it was possible for them to be able to do it. And then he goes back, creates the 3-1 comeback, and then I think obviously, the 3-1 comeback is super, super impressive because at the end of the day, it is the championship. But it was something from a fan's perspective at that moment in time that was charming about, when it was him, Dellavedova, and all these scrubs, no disrespect, in the finals going against the Golden State Warriors, who at this point they're a juggernaut in their own right. There was something charming about seeing that, right? And I'm just, again, loving LeBron a little bit more and more and more. When he gets to the Lakers, at this moment in time, I'm back to being a fan. There was nothing more that was added to him going to the Lakers, but I would say his last 2 championships, the one in Cleveland and the one in Los Angeles, I felt really happy for him. When he became the all-time leading scorer, I just had to sit back, and then I was going into the Glaze and LeBron part of the video. I had to sit back and appreciate the longevity that LeBron James has brought to this league. Again, his first year of his career is when I started watching basketball 22 years ago, and he is 40. He just finished up a season where he was 40 years old. The league voters voted that he was one of the 10 best players in basketball this season. He made All-NBA second team when there was no restrictions to positions. So the league voter said this guy at the age of 40 is a top 10 player this season. That's crazy. That's just so crazy. For LeBron James to spend the bulk of his career being known as a non-shooter, 29%, 31%, 31%, when he had that season a few years ago when he shot 41% from three at the age of 39 on 5 attempts, that's nuts to me. You know? So, like, yeah, I went through an arc. A 4-year span of absolutely hating the person. And going back to the original TikTok that I showed about the player develop or the character development, somebody replied, how could he be your best or your favorite small forward of all time if you had a period of time where hating him? Well, the answer is very simple. LeBron's been in the league for 22 seasons. I had 4 years where I hated him. 22 seasons. 4 years. Like, do some math. 4 over 22 is like not a lot of time. When you think about the time around it, he spent more time with the Lakers than he did with Miami. He spent, of course, more time with Cleveland the first time and the second time than he did in Miami. The man has had 8 careers, it felt like, and only half of one of those careers was I here. Now, I mean, I'm not a fan in the sense that this year I need the Lakers to win for his legacy. His legacy is already cemented to me personally, and I just, again, admire the greatness that is Bron because, I mean, there's a reason why even now at the age of 40, they will get a ton of primetime games. He is still face of the league. And that's admirable, bro. That truly, truly is admirable. So one thing I've done over the last couple of years, especially in the offseason, like right now, because this video, what the hell is this video? I don't know. I was just bored. There was over the last couple of years where I would go back and rewatch some of those games from when he was 21, 22 years old. Because again, the only way I was consuming it was through SportsCenter. And again, I have another level of admiration because being able to transfer his game from when he was in his athletic peak to now is just so impressive. Obviously, even now at the age of 40, he's a freight train and nobody really want to stay in front of him. But early in his career, that was like him. Downhill king, get to the basket, dunk, layups, all these things. And for him to progress to the point where, let me see if I can find some stats about this. Yeah, the last year of his career, he shot 35% of his shots at the rim, where at his absolute athletic peak, 52% of his shots were at the basket. So he dropped by a good percentage because he had to evolve his game because getting to the basket isn't as easy and it's also super taxing. Where he shot more three-pointers, but he also hit 40% of them. Like, that is some really impressive stuff. For him to be, I don't know, there was a time in Miami where I kind of not changed my mind, but I'm watching him as a hate watch and I'm like, hold on now. That when after they lost in 2011, basically the next season after that, he just played bully ball for the entire year and just was straight up just bruising people. And I'm like, damn, this is kind of cool, but I still hate them. And before you leave a comment, Kenny, how can Dwayne Wade be your favorite small forward if you also hated the Heat? Dwayne Wade was immune to my Miami Heat criticism. I never said I was a rational person, but he was immune to it. So though I was hating, I wouldn't hate Dwayne Wade. I wouldn't hate Dwayne. I could never.